And she is clumsy, ungainly, maladroite, as they say. 4 good marriages will have to do. I only hope she does not ruin her sister's chances.
My options were limited. But I was trapped.
I did not know that you would actually need to wear glasses.
You seem to forget, my dear, that I wear spectacles myself.
Spectacles, indeed.
Come into the world without expectations. To be poor and handsome is misfortune enough. But to be penniless and plain is a hard fate indeed. So my mother taught us. Is it possible you'll ever find a way to fit in?
And her entire life being called the ugly sister. Her own mother treated her like a burden. Her sisters acted like she didn't even belong in the family. Every party turned into a humiliation. Every mirror became her enemy. And the worst part? She actually believed all of it. But everything changes the second this forgotten girl leaves home and meets 2 men who completely flip her world upside down. One sees her heart. The other becomes obsessed with her mind. Suddenly, the same people who mocked her can't stand watching her become the woman they never thought she could be. But just when she finally starts glowing, betrayal, jealousy, heartbreak, and one devastating decision threaten to destroy everything all over again. And trust me, the final confession completely changes the game. The story begins with Eleanor Whitmore, the middle daughter in one of the most respected families in town. Now, on paper, Eleanor should have had the perfect life. Huge house, fancy dinners, expensive dresses, high society connections. But the second people looked past the family name, everything completely fell apart for her. Because unlike her 3 sisters, Eleanor didn't fit the image her mother was obsessed with showing the world. Her older sister Vivian had flawless beauty that made men practically line up for her. Her younger sister Rose was cheerful, charming, and knew exactly how to flirt her way through every conversation. Even little Clara somehow managed to turn heads everywhere she went. But Eleanor, according to her mother, she was the family's greatest disappointment. And oh boy, her mother made sure she never forgot it for even a second. Every single morning started exactly the same way. Her mother criticizing her posture, her hair, her smile, her dresses, even the way she walked. The woman genuinely acted like Eleanor's existence personally offended her. At breakfast, while praising the other sisters for their beauty and elegance, she would look at Eleanor like she was some kind of unpaid servant accidentally sitting at the family table. The worst part? Their father never stopped it. He wasn't cruel. Honestly, he was just weak. The type of man who buried himself in books and pretended not to hear the constant emotional destruction happening right in front of him. So Eleanor grew up trapped in a house where one parent constantly tore her apart, while the other quietly watched.
The second Eleanor wakes up the next morning, the entire atmosphere inside the house feels completely different. And honestly, that should have been her very first warning sign, because for the first time in years, her mother is actually being nice to her. Not warm, not loving, let's not get crazy here, but noticeably less cruel, and Eleanor immediately knows something is wrong. At breakfast, her mother suddenly asks if she slept well. Then she offers her more tea. Tea! This woman barely offered her basic human kindness before, and now she's acting like they're best friends overnight. Meanwhile, her sisters are staring at her like she just committed some kind of crime. Vivian finally snaps first. So, how exactly did you manage to get Mr. Ashford's attention last night? Eleanor nearly chokes because, honestly, she's asking herself the exact same thing. But before she can even answer, her mother jumps in fast, way too fast. Julian Ashford is an intelligent man. Of course he noticed Eleanor's quieter qualities. The way she says quieter qualities sounds less like a compliment and more like someone trying to sell damaged furniture at full price. Still, Eleanor notices something terrifying. Her mother's eyes are different now, calculating, strategic, like she's no longer looking at Eleanor as her unwanted daughter, but as an investment. And oh boy, things spiral fast after that. Within days, her mother completely changes Eleanor's routine. Suddenly, she's ordering new dresses made specifically for her. Softer colors, better fabrics, more elegant hairstyles. The same woman who spent years tearing apart Eleanor's appearance is now obsessively trying to fix her. But here's the twisted part. None of this is actually for Eleanor. It's for Julian. Every conversation suddenly revolves around him, what he likes, what he reads, what type of women he admires. Her mother starts drilling information into Eleanor's head like she's preparing for a final exam. Don't speak too much. Smile gently. Men like mystery. Don't mention books unless he does first. You already intimidate people enough. And Eleanor just sits there quietly taking it all in, because deep down, some tiny broken part of her still desperately wants her mother's approval. Meanwhile, Nathan completely disappears. No letters, no visits, nothing. And Eleanor hates how much that bothers her. She keeps replaying the ballroom scene over and over in her head, the disappointment in his eyes, the way he quietly walked away after she pushed him aside like he meant nothing. The guilt starts eating her alive. One afternoon, while her sisters are out shopping, Eleanor secretly sneaks back to the bookstore, hoping maybe she can apologize. But the second she walks in, her stomach drops. Nathan is laughing with another woman. Now, before you get the wrong idea, the woman is clearly just a customer, but Eleanor immediately feels something ugly twist inside her chest. Jealousy, panic, regret, the whole package. And the worst part? Nathan barely reacts when he sees her. He's polite, calm, professional, but cold. Gone is the warmth from before. Gone is the easy smile he used to give her. He treats her exactly the way she treated him at the ball, like a stranger. And wow, karma wasted absolutely zero time. Eleanor awkwardly tries apologizing for what happened, but Nathan simply tells her, "You don't owe me anything, Miss Whitmore." Ouch, that formal tone hurts way more than anger ever could. Before he leaves, he quietly adds, "I hope Mr. Ashford appreciates you more than your family does." And just like that, Eleanor walks out feeling even worse than before. But things get even messier when Julian suddenly begins visiting their estate regularly. At first, everyone assumes he's there for Vivian. Honestly, Vivian assumes it too. The girl practically glues herself to his side every chance she gets, flirting, laughing too hard at his jokes, touching his arm every 5 seconds like she's starring in a romance novel nobody asked for. Meanwhile, Julian barely notices her. Instead, he keeps watching Eleanor. At dinners, he asks for her opinions. During walks, he slows down beside her. At parties, his eyes constantly drift toward her across crowded rooms. And every single time that happens, her mother looks seconds away from passing out from excitement. Meanwhile, Vivian is losing her mind because in her entire life, she has never been second choice, especially not to Eleanor. The tension between the sisters becomes absolutely unbearable. Every compliment Eleanor receives feels like a personal attack to Vivian's ego, and slowly the insults start becoming crueler. One night, Vivian finally explodes. "You think one rich man noticing you suddenly changes reality? Look at yourself, Eleanor. Without mother dressing you up and teaching you how to act, you'd still be hiding behind books while everyone ignored you." That one lands hard, mostly because part of Eleanor fears it might actually be true. And honestly, Julian isn't helping because while he clearly likes Eleanor, the man is also incredibly confusing. Some days he's warm and attentive, other days he completely pulls away emotionally like he's fighting some invisible internal battle. Then comes the massive twist nobody sees coming. During a private conversation in the garden, Julian suddenly admits the truth. He was originally interested in Vivian. Yeah, brutal. Eleanor literally feels her stomach collapse. But before she can spiral completely, he continues. I thought your sister was exactly the kind of woman I wanted. Beautiful, elegant, predictable. Then I met you. And according to him, Eleanor ruined everything because she challenges him, surprises him, makes him think differently. And honestly, that scares him more than he expected. Now, naturally, Eleanor should feel happy hearing this, right? Wrong, because instead of confidence, all she feels is pressure. For the first time in her life, someone she admires is truly paying attention to her, and now she's terrified that if he sees the real Eleanor beneath all the new dresses and forced confidence, he'll lose interest too. So she starts changing herself even more. She talks less carefully, laughs less loudly, stops mentioning the books and scientific essays she actually loves, pretends to enjoy shallow conversations. Basically, she slowly starts becoming the exact type of woman her mother always wanted. And the scary part? Everyone around her seems happier because of it. Her mother is thrilled. Society suddenly accepts her more now that she's dressing prettier and acting quieter. It completely messes with her head because now Eleanor starts wondering if maybe her mother was right all along. Maybe people only value beautiful women. Maybe love really is conditional. Maybe she actually was the problem this whole time. But just when she's falling deeper into this identity crisis, Nathan certainly reappears in the absolute worst possible moment, at another high society gathering. And this time, he's not alone. He arrives with a stunning woman on his arm, and oh boy, does that hit Eleanor harder than expected. The woman is graceful, confident, intelligent, and effortlessly beautiful. Basically, every insecurity Eleanor has wrapped into one perfect human being. Nathan introduces her as Amelia, and the second Eleanor sees how naturally they interact together, her entire chest tightens. Because unlike her fake polished behavior around Julian, Nathan seems genuinely happy around Amelia. Real smiles, real laughter, real comfort. Meanwhile, Eleanor feels like she's suffocating inside her own performance. Things get even worse when Amelia casually mentions that Nathan talks about Eleanor all the time. The second she hears that, Julian's entire expression changes, and suddenly, jealousy enters the chat. For the first time, Julian starts realizing Eleanor may not stay emotionally available forever. But before Eleanor can even process any of this chaos, the night completely detonates because Vivian, absolutely consumed by jealousy at this point, decides to publicly humiliate her sister in front of everyone. And trust me, what she reveals is vicious enough to destroy Eleanor's reputation in a single night. The entire ballroom goes dead silent the second Vivian raises her glass. Now, at first, everyone assumes she's about to make some elegant little toast. You know, rich people nonsense. But the second she turns toward Eleanor with that fake smile on her face, you can immediately tell disaster is loading. Vivian calmly says, "I just think it's adorable how quickly people forget who Eleanor really is." And oh boy, here we go. At first, Eleanor tries to ignore her. She genuinely hopes her sister will stop after one nasty comment. Yeah. Absolutely not. Vivian has been waiting for this moment for weeks. She starts exposing every insecurity Eleanor ever shared with the family. How she used to cry before parties, how she avoided mirrors, how she once overheard servants calling her the plain sister and locked herself in her room for 2 days. And then comes the absolute killing blow. Vivian laughs and says, "Honestly, a few prettier dresses and one rich man's attention really made her forget she used to spend every dinner hiding behind books because nobody wanted to talk to her." The room erupts in awkward murmurs. Eleanor literally cannot breathe. You know that feeling when your entire body goes numb from humiliation? Yeah, that. But the craziest part? Her mother does absolutely nothing. Not one word defending her, not one attempt to stop Vivian. Because deep down, her mother still agrees with every single thing being said, and Eleanor realizes it instantly. That realization completely breaks something inside her. She quietly sets down her glass and walks out of the ballroom while everyone stares. Some people pity her, some secretly enjoy the drama, others just look uncomfortable, but nobody stops her, except Julian. He follows her outside and grabs her arm gently before she can leave. Now, honestly, this should have been the romantic moment, right? The handsome rich guy defending the misunderstood girl. Yeah, not exactly. Because Julian makes one massive mistake. He tells her, "You shouldn't let things like this affect you so much." Bro, what? Eleanor immediately pulls away, because that sentence just proved he still doesn't understand her at all. This wasn't just a mean comment. This was years of humiliation exploding in front of an entire society that already looked down on her. Julian keeps trying to calm her down, but Eleanor finally snaps. "For once in my life, I want someone to stop telling me how I should feel." And honestly, that line hits hard. Then she walks away. The next morning, the damage is everywhere. People gossip nonstop, women whisper behind fans, men suddenly treat her awkwardly again. Just like that, society goes right back to acting like Eleanor is the embarrassing sister. And the absolute worst part? Her mother blames her for it. The woman storms into Eleanor's room furious, basically acting like Eleanor personally ruined the family reputation on purpose. "You embarrassed us. You made Julian uncomfortable. You should have stayed calm." Not 1 ounce of concern for what Eleanor actually went through. And right there, something finally changes. Because instead of apologizing like she normally does, Eleanor quietly asks, "Would you have defended Vivian if that happened to her?" Silence. That silence tells her everything. For the very first time, Eleanor fully understands something terrifying. Her mother never planned to love her equally. No matter how pretty she dressed, no matter how graceful she acted, no matter which rich man noticed her, she was always going to be the daughter who needed fixing. And honestly, that realization hurts more than every insult combined. A few days later, Eleanor completely disappears from social events. No parties, no dinners, nothing. She spends most of her time alone reading in the garden or helping servants around the estate just to avoid people. But then something unexpected happens. Nathan visits the house. And trust me, the atmosphere gets weird immediately. Her mother clearly hates seeing him there, mostly because compared to Julian, Nathan doesn't have status or wealth. In her eyes, he's beneath them, but Nathan couldn't care less. The man walks in carrying a stack of books Eleanor wanted months ago but couldn't find anywhere. And wow, that tiny gesture hits her emotionally way harder than expensive dresses ever did. Because unlike everyone else trying to transform her, Nathan simply remembers who she already is. The two of them end up talking alone in the library for hours. Real conversations, honest conversations, no pretending, no performances. For the first time in forever, Eleanor laughs without overthinking it. And naturally, that's exactly when disaster strikes again. Because Vivian secretly overhears everything. Later that night, she corners Eleanor privately and completely unloads on her. "You really think a man like Julian would ever choose you long term? Girls like you don't get fairy tales. He'll get bored eventually. And then what? You'll run back to the bookstore boy?" Eleanor finally reaches her limit. Years of insecurity, years of humiliation, years of silence. Done. She looks straight at Vivian and says, "You spent your whole life being beautiful, and somehow you're still the most insecure person in this family." Oh boy, that line absolutely destroys Vivian. For a second, she literally looks speechless. But instead of backing down, Vivian goes nuclear. She reveals another bombshell. Julian's family has been privately questioning whether Eleanor is refined enough to marry into their circle. Yeah, absolute punch to the throat. Apparently, several wealthy women have been spreading rumors that Eleanor lacks sophistication and proper upbringing, and according to Vivian, Julian's aunt specifically called Eleanor a temporary fascination. Now, naturally, Eleanor pretends not to care, but inside, completely shattered. Because deep down, her biggest fear has always been that people only tolerate her temporarily before realizing she's not enough, and suddenly, that fear feels very real. Meanwhile, Julian grows increasingly frustrated because Eleanor keeps emotionally distancing herself from him. Every time he tries getting closer, she pulls back harder, not because she dislikes him, because she's terrified. Terrified of needing someone who might eventually look at her the same way everyone else always has. Then comes the turning point that changes everything. One afternoon, Eleanor visits a local orphan school to donate books, and while helping one little girl learn how to read, she notices something heartbreaking. The child keeps hiding her face when people look at her. Turns out the girl has a facial scar and gets mocked constantly because of it. And suddenly Eleanor sees herself. Not physically, emotionally. The shame, the fear, the feeling of believing you're somehow less than everyone around you. So she spends the entire afternoon sitting beside the girl, encouraging her, making her laugh, teaching her confidently. And for the first time maybe ever, Eleanor stops focusing on how people see her. That single moment completely shifts something in her mind.
Over the next few weeks, Eleanor slowly starts changing again, but this time for herself. Not for her mother, not for Julian, not for society. She starts wearing colors she likes instead of colors people recommend. She speaks more openly at dinners. She laughs louder. She stops apologizing every 5 seconds for existing. And weirdly enough, the more authentic she becomes, the more magnetic she gets. People start naturally gravitating toward her energy. Men genuinely enjoy speaking with her. Women begin respecting her intelligence. Even servants around the estate seem more comfortable around her now that she's no longer constantly shrinking herself. And oh boy, does this drive Vivian absolutely insane. Because suddenly, Eleanor isn't becoming beautiful through makeup or dresses. She's becoming confident, and that's way more dangerous. Meanwhile, Nathan and Eleanor grow closer again. Like really close. Late-night conversations, book exchanges, private jokes, long walks. The tension between them becomes impossible to ignore. And honestly, Eleanor starts realizing something terrifying. The person who truly makes her feel beautiful was never Julian. It was Nathan all along. But before she can fully process those feelings, everything completely explodes again. Because one night, Julian unexpectedly arrives at the estate looking furious, and the second he sees Eleanor standing close to Nathan in the garden, his entire expression changes. Not heartbreak, not sadness, jealousy, pure jealousy. Then he says the one sentence nobody was prepared for. I think it's time your family knew why I've really been visiting this house. And judging by the look on Eleanor's mother's face, whatever he's about to reveal could destroy all of them.